Hey everyone, welcome to today's call. We decided to hop on and just give you a few more details about all of these wonderful bacteria that we are going to greatly increase in our guts in order to improve gut health and nurture weight loss. So we got a lot of information last night. We got quite a bit on Saturday as well. We're just going to dive a little bit further. First and foremost, we want to make it very clear to you guys that the basis for this change in our product is an element called XOS. And XOS is a highly concentrated prebiotic that nourishes growth of the gut microflora. And the result of that is the major increases that you see in 5 specific bacteria. And we're going to talk about those today and give you a little bit more insight into those. And then Hillary is going to wrap up the call and tell you how to take what you learned today and use it in layman's terms when you're talking to your customers and potential ambassadors. So I'm going to start off today discussing Bifidobacterium. So this is a kind of an interesting bacteria because it happens to be the same bacteria that is so important in a mother's breast milk to a child. Now this is the one that all the doctors rave about why we should breastfeed because it's an incredibly important bacteria for lifelong fighting of disease and so forth. And if you don't get it at childbirth, it's very, very difficult to acquire it over a lifetime, okay? Or during breastfeeding, I should say. So in infants, it's present at the 80% level. By the time you're an adult, it's typically down to 25%. Keep in mind, any good bacteria, as well as bad, but especially good bacteria, can be wiped out with a single antibiotic. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we have problems nowadays, is because people are on so many antibiotics, and it destroys good gut bacteria that we need to suppress disease, keep our immunity in check, and increase our metabolism and so forth, which helps with obesity. So Bifidobacterium produces lactic acid, which ferments food, lowering a pH balance and preventing harmful bacteria growth. So pH balance, we all know is already, well, most of us should know, is really, really important for fighting off disease. So that's one of the benefits. It attaches to cells of the intestine to protect the lining against damage from toxins or germs that could otherwise lead to what we call leaky gut syndrome, which is perforation of the intestinal lining with small holes, which allows for germs and toxins to leak into the bloodstream. When that happens, your immune system will then attack those germs and toxins, which is really attacking you, and that's how we come up with the autoimmune diseases. So really, really, really important bacteria. It basically is like a muscle to the lining of your intestinal tract. That's Bifidobacterium. It increases your immune system, and it's used to specifically to treat colitis, and it reduces IBS symptoms. So you're going to see some really great improvements for people who are struggling in those areas, we hope anyway. That's the plan here. Just an FYI, this bacteria is destroyed through diarrhea, radiation, chemotherapy, and antibiotics. So if you know people who are using or have been through some of this stuff, they're going to absolutely love this product. The second bacteria that I'm working on today is Lactobacillus. Lactobacillus breaks down the food in the intestines and produces vitamin K. That's really basically what it does. But the outcome is that, vitamin K as well as lactase. This one I've definitely read up on, which is an enzyme that breaks down lactose. So I mentioned this in last night's call because this is just such a prevalent issue with a lot of people have a problem processing lactose. And one of the reasons for that is because we took lactase out of our commercial milk industry. So unless you're drinking raw organic milk, you're lacking that lactase. And that lactase is created through this lactobacillus. So people who are struggling with lactose issues, this should help them dramatically. The breakdown of food creates lactic acid and hydrogen peroxide, which creates an unfriendly environment for bad bacteria. And now we get to a little bit more basic, but very good stuff, very interesting. This is often recommended for vaginal infections, the lactobacillus is, so i.e. yeast infections. It improves lactose intolerance, replaces friendly intestinal bacteria destroyed by antibiotics. It treats chronic constipation, intestinal diseases, enhances immune system, reduces the risk of childhood eczema, and it helps to treat high cholesterol. So those are some big ones. That's stuff you can definitely use with your customers and ambassadors. All right, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Tanya. That's awesome stuff. I am going to cover butyrate next. And butyrate is actually a byproduct of the feasting of the lactobacillus. And I think it's the lactobacillus specifically. But so when the lactobacillus is fed by the prebiotic, it's going to create butyrate. And butyrate is super, super important. It's a short chain fatty acid, but it also helps, it works with the communicator cells in the body to communicate with the lymph nodes of the body so that it doesn't attack any good bacteria. So that's really important for your immunity, that your body knows, like, hey, these are the good ones. Let's not destroy those, and we're going to, only attack bad bacteria. So this is a super important, element of our gut microbiome. It's also great for fluid transport and it's a pro-absorption stimulant, which means that it helps the body absorb nutrients. So that's super important. It's, we talk about that with the X Factor, like we want our body to be able to absorb all the nutrients that we can. It also is very effective in lowering inflammation, specifically mucosal inflammation. So for people, like Tanya said, that have IBS and Crohn's and lots of digestive issues, that is going to really help them. It reduces oxidative stress. It also reinforces the epithelial defense barrier, which is kind of like what Tanya was talking about. So this is like another one of the guys in there building up your defense walls along your intestinal barriers, okay? It also helps with insulin resistance and your metabolic diseases. So any type of metabolism diseases. When I talk to you about Akkermansia next, this kind of ties in with that. So we have spent a lot of time on yo-yo diets, eating diet foods, eating bad foods, all kinds of things that can screw up your metabolism. And like diet soda is a huge one. People think diet soda is really good, but it actually kills your metabolism. So it is going to work with the Akkermansia to repair the metabolism. And it also is a huge potent detoxifier of ammonia and neurotoxins in your system. It's going to scrub, and you think about it like, when I was reading about it, I'm thinking about like scrubbing bubbles. If you've ever seen scrubbing bubbles, like these little guys like running around and cleaning out the liver, the gallbladder, the bowels, removing any of those ammonias or any of the neurotoxins. It also cleans up renegade fats. So for all of us who are approaching 40, we're going to love this, because the renegade fats are like the long fats that you accumulate with age. So that's really important. And the last thing that it does is it lowers the expression of inflammatory immune markers. So if you have autoimmunity markers in your genetics, it's going to lower the expression of those. So that's really, really important. Overall, I mean, so this I feel like is a supportive one. It's cleaning, it's backing up the bifidobacterium and protecting your cell walls, lowering inflammation and all that stuff. I think Hillary's going to give you all the talking points later. The second one I want to talk to you about is Akkermansia. It is called, Akkermansia is also a byproduct, and it is colonized in low amounts in the mucal linings of the colon, okay? Or of your gut, I should say. I'm not sure which section, so I'm just going to say in the colon. What happens is this prebiotic, the XOS, is actually going to promote production of mucin in the body. So it's promoting the production of mucin, which the Akkermansia needs to eat Okay, so it needs to eat that mucin so that it can grow. And so we have that proven in our thing. I'm going to tell you how many times. 250 times. So it increases the production of Akkermansia by 250 times. And so what's important about that is that it is a huge anti-inflammatory, and it also helps improve immunity. So by lowering the inflammation, you're going to have better immunity. And the big thing here that you want to remember with Akkermansia is it repairs the disrupted metabolism. So this is why it ties in with the previous one I was talking to you about, because its whole job is to go through and repair your metabolism from damage that has been caused. So by increasing the metabolism, by repairing it, it is going to help you lose weight. So this is a big key for us right now, because of course everyone is looking for weight loss. And so you just want to remember that it's super important for that. So that's, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Prebiotics. That's it.
Okay. So in our clinical studies, and you'll see I'm going to be looking down at notes because that's my style. In our clinical studies, it was shown that our Slim increases propionate, which I just learned how to pronounce, up to 25%. Propionate's a source of short-chain fatty acids, and short-chain fatty acids are produced by the friendly bacteria in your gut. They are the main source of nutrition for the cells in your colon. Short-chain fatty acids play a really important role in health and diseases also. They may reduce the risk of inflammatory disease, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and other conditions. Short-chain fatty acids are produced with the friendly gut bacteria. When the friendly gut bacteria ferments fiber in your colon and are the main source of energy for the cells lining your colon. Excess short-chain fatty acids are used for other functions in your body. For example, they provide roughly 10% of your daily calorie needs. They're also involved in metabolism of important nutrients like carbs and fat. About 95% of the short-chain fatty acids in your body are acetate, propionate, and butyrate, which we've talked about. These are all in our these are not ingredients in our new Slim, but the XOS prebiotic helps to amp those up, right? Propionate is mainly involved in producing glucose in the liver. So that's super important for us to know when we're thinking of talking points and how we can help people. Short-chain fatty acids may be beneficial against some digestive disorders like diarrhea and IBS. So I'm excited to see how we'll be able to help people with those kinds of issues. Studies have shown that propionate can reduce blood sugar levels, help with obesity, and other disorders such as behavioral issues and autism. And I had to get up because I hear my kiddos. Propionate works by binding to plant-based carbs, and it creates a compound that's passed through your digestive tract before being released into the colon. During that release, like I have seen already from some testimonials of people on the new Slim saying that their appetite has been decreased. So I was excited to see what I felt with that. But during the release, it makes your body feel full, which reduces your appetite, which helps support weight loss. So that would be a scientific reason as to why people are not feeling as hungry on the new Slim. It does that by stimulating your gut to release hormones that act on the brain to reduce hunger. So I thought that was really cool. That was one of the most fascinating things I learned, to be honest. So with our new Slim, and I'm just going to talk about this right now. With our new Slim, it is really important to understand that our triplex is still key. We absolutely need people to be on the triplex because our Slim is going to amp up our triplex combo. because you're going to be taking the probiotic, which will kill the bad bacteria, right, and replenish the good. And you're going to be taking the cleanse to help with the detox and get rid of that bad bacteria. Well, our new Slim is going to work as a fertilizer for that good bacteria, which is going to be incredible. And we're going to see better results, faster results, and I'm super excited about it. And that is what I have so far.
Awesome. Yes. So I have to admit, as a blue, when this first was launched, I was a little like, okay, yay, a prebiotic. That's great. I have some big words I know nothing about. And then I really got looking at all of what these three lovely ladies have just shared with you, and I was blown away. The first thing I want everyone to remember, though, with everything that they said, first of all, just like anything, do not feel like you need to become this scientist or an expert or anything to share the new Slim. So now don't go into panic mode and feel like you can't share because you don't know everything. For one, the biggest thing you need to realize is that the hugest difference is that XOS. The XOS is the prebiotic that has been added to our original formula. The original formula is still amazing, has still changed lives, and now it's amped up and even better, right? So we've kept all of the awesomeness of the old Slim and added in like the final piece of the puzzle. I feel like it's the Picasso is complete. Like when you look at the Slim, the ProBio, and the BioCleanse together, it's undeniably the best thing on the market for gut health. Like Plexus knocked it out of the park on this prebiotic. They didn't just choose any prebiotic. They chose the best one and the one that only feeds the good. That's important to realize as well. So when people are saying, well, I take a prebiotic, well, what kind of prebiotic are you taking? Because a lot of them feed the good and the bad. Ours is only feeding the good, which is huge. And since people like to copy us, we have a patent pending on it, which is even more exciting. So we are ahead of the curve, ahead of the market. So that's something that even if you don't memorize the lactobacillus and the Akkermansia and all those other things, I firmly believe if you go and you share and passionately speak how we are ahead of the curve, we're changing things, and your enthusiasm on this new Slim, that's going to be enough to excite people. Not to mention the flavor is completely different. We haven't even talked about the flavor of the Slim. It's completely different. And it's great. And every person that I've seen try it so far said, this is so good. So talking points on that are just that. I would say keep it simple unless you get the people that want the more in-depth. But when you're posting, when you're sharing about Akkermansia, which is huge, and in this beautiful brochure that we get that comes in it, as far as like what statuses can you make, what can you say about it? If you're worried, just read right off of here. Nobody's going to judge you. Important thing to realize, though, is that we don't have Akkermansia in our Slim. That's not the case. The XOS is feeding and increasing it. So I'm an analogy person. Amanda kind of touched on it, but for me, the analogy that works and makes sense to me is that you have a garden. Let's say you have a garden. You're not going to just go in and start randomly planting things. You want to make sure that the soil is nutritious, like you removed all the weeds, you have a good base, right? And that's what our probiotic does for our gut. It goes in and removes the bad stuff, the weeds. It's putting in good things into our soil. The BioCleanse is helping to, be the tiller and detoxify and get rid of everything and pull the weeds and help with everything, right? And then you have this new Slim, this amazing prebiotic that's coming in and saying, all right, I am going to feed your garden and make it grow and be the most beautiful, biggest garden ever. And it's not feeding the weeds. It's feeding the good stuff, and it's making it so much better. So the Akkermansia is being increased by 250 times, which then is affecting our metabolism. So just a few key things to not get so caught up in all of the ingredients, but realizing what they're doing. So the new formula also increases your metabolism by, like Amanda said, boosting those short chain fatty acids, one by 58%, one by 25%. So you don't even have to say what they are necessarily, but just say they're increasing, and then you can give in more information. All of this means basically that the new Slim is much more helpful in weight loss, especially when used as part of the triplex combo. Having that healthy microbiome, which we're talking about, the microbiome, and being pregnant and going to be nursing, like, I can't get enough of learning about this microbiome. It's fascinating, fascinating. You're first exposed to your microbiome by going through the birth canal. Really, it's incredible. So creating your microbiome and getting back to the healthy way that it should be. Like Tanya said, the antibiotics that people take, the, radiation, chemo, all that stuff, you're messing with all of the good that's in your gut. And this is really helping bring it all back. So it's helping that microbiome. And also just reminding people, like, I've seen the results that people have had, but also because we have changed the formula, there could be some new die-off symptoms, some new craziness could be happening a little bit. I've seen some people said that they experienced gas, right? Like, whoops. I mean, it's just part of the process, but I just think it's so great because we're getting our bodies healthy. But again, it's so important to keep in mind the same thing applies. This is a tool in your tool belt. You are not going out and saying, drink this new Slim, next week you're going to be skinny. And if you are, stop. That's not good, okay? We don't do that. We are educating them on using these products for at least 90 days. None of that has changed. None of that has changed for sure. So make sure that you're still utilizing the triplex, that information, and just for layman's terms, just know that the XOS is that amazing prebiotic that's added. It's increasing these things, if you want to call them things, because that's what I would have called them forever. The biggest one, and the thing that works for me, is focusing on really one that I feel affects a lot of people, and that's the Akkermansia. I think that's huge, especially growing up, seeing my mom being a yo-yo dieter all the time, drinking diet soda, and learning more about what someone looks like that's deficient in Akkermansia and someone that has high levels of Akkermansia. So I am just fascinated by this. Erin, Tanya, and Amanda have given you incredible information. I encourage you to rewatch this, and rewatch it, and do your own research. And again, like anything in this business, put it in your own terms, what works for you. But make sure that you're giving people the correct information. And if you don't know, ask or find somebody that does, and utilize your upline, utilize three-way chats, all of that kind of stuff, because you are going to be shooting yourself in the foot if you're running around saying you have a new miracle skinny drink and people are going to be beating down your door mad, right? So don't oversell what it does. It's still amazing, but you still have to, again, this is a health and happiness company. It's overall health and wellness. It's not get skinny, get rich, quick, overnight, none of that. So that's what I have to say.
All right, guys. I think we gave them enough to get going. So thank you for coming on today, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.